Tony Dungy was tweeting up a storm last night. Some of his tweets, I'm not saying officials cost Lions the game. I'm saying 3 wrong calls and 1 obvious missed call in one half is not acceptable. Doesn't matter who wins the game. And the Hall of Famer joins us now. Tony, how do we fix this? If you're the NFL and all the owners are meeting today in Florida, what would you tell them on how to get this right?
Well, the first thing I would suggest is full-time officials. I beat that drum for 20 years when I was coaching. And to me, every official should be in the league office today looking at everything that happened over the weekend. This is how we're going to call things. This is how we're not going to call things. And it should be a full-time job. And that's the first thing. And then the second thing, I think we've got to just get back to something Chuck Noll used to say all the time. We have to call what we see and not have agendas of, hey, safety is, and I'm all for safety, but when you tell these guys, hey, if it's close, err on the side of safety, and you put that in their mind, and then you get calls like that where a defensive back last night is trying to make an interception, and he gets a personal foul penalty. And, I think we put too much in the official's head instead of just saying, here's the rules, now call what we see, and we'll be happy with it.
But now they're talking about a sky judge, Tony. What's a sky judge going to do?
I don't know. Joe Green, I was telling Fritzy, Joe Green, every time he'd get mad at the officials, he said, we don't really need these guys. We need one person there. He doesn't do anything but spot the ball, and then we have one fan at home just watching on TV and then tell him what to do. And sometimes you look at it and you say that might be better because there are things that we saw on TV last night that just have you shake your head. But I think we just have to get back to letting these guys officiate. I thought it was really, really a bad thing when they put this pass interference review in, because when you start reviewing judgment, if you review it was a guy's foot on the line, did the ball cross the plane, and you can see pretty clearly, okay, yes or no. But when it has to be clear and obvious, well, my judgment, one thing is clear and obvious to me in the way I judge it and the way I look at it. Is this hands to the face? No, I don't think so. But somebody else's judgment, he might say, well, I did see some hands to the face there. And when they put that pass interference review in, I said, this is going to lead down a bad path.
But even it feels like coaches don't want to challenge defensive pass interference because they know the chances are it won't be overturned.
Well, we saw it last night. Obvious pass interference penalty, and you're saying, hey, challenge that. But as a coach, you're sitting there, and only 1 out of the last 21 has gotten overturned. I feel like I'm wasting a timeout that I might need, so I'm not going to challenge it. It was clearly pass interference. The Dallas game on Sunday, Jason Witten scores a touchdown. They call offensive pass interference for a pick. It's the wrong call, absolutely. And you're saying, hey, Jason Garrett, you need to challenge that. But he says, I saw 20 others that were obvious that didn't get overturned. I'm not going to waste my time out. And, to put a rule in to say it's going to fix these obvious bad calls and then it doesn't, I don't know what the purpose of the rule is.
If I said, and I took a vote with the coaches right now, and no names attached, and I said, do you want more replay or get rid of replay altogether? How do you think the coaches would vote?
That's hard to say. They would say, I want more replay if we're going to get it right. But if we're going to use the replay like it has been on this pass interference, just get rid of it because it has really created more problems than it's worth. I, for one, when they put the replay in 1999, I said it was a bad idea. I didn't like it, didn't want it. The first game we ever played, they replayed a call on a touchdown play. It was wrong, and we got the apology afterwards. And, sorry, we missed it. I got a $10,000 fine that day because I said if we got, I said, I don't mind you missing a call, bang, bang. But when you have 2 minutes to look at it and 10 angles and still get it wrong, that's bad officiating. And it cost me $10,000 and got my mother mad at me.
Is that the only time you got fined in your coaching career?
That is the only time.
Oh, my gosh.
And I learned a lesson right there. And when my mother called and said, You can't be criticizing people above you. The Bible says respect your not only your elders but your superiors. So I had to bite my tongue after that.
But why is it we overreacted to the Saints-Rams game, and then we underreact, or at least the NFL does, to the regular season games? These games, these calls can mean the difference in a team winning a game, making the playoffs, getting home field advantage. Like, there's a lot that's attached to it, but for some reason, we don't overreact to the regular season. Why is that?
I totally agree with you. Mike Florio, he says, hey, Jason Garrett's on the hot seat now. Something could happen with his job. Well, they lost a game by 2 points that basically 4 points got taken from them on a call that we said we put this rule in to fix. And so why is he on the hot seat, and why can't we fix it if that's what it's supposed to do? And you see this over and over, that home field advantage, playoff spots, winning seasons, or just games for some teams and some coaches, they swing. And I don't blame the officials, but when you put something in and say this is supposed to fix it, there was an error in the game in the Rams Saints. We don't want to see that again, so we've got this to fix it, and then you don't fix it. It doesn't make sense.
Talking to Tony Dungy, the Hall of Famer, joining us on loan from Football Night in America. I asked this question yesterday to a couple of guests, and nobody really had an answer. Who's the second best team in the AFC right now?
I hate to say it, but it might be Buffalo. It really might. The Chiefs scare me with that defense. They're not getting the stops that they need. They're putting way too much pressure on their offense.
Wow.
The South teams, a lot of up and down there. I love Deshaun Watson, but their defense has been a little spotty as well. Buffalo doesn't have great offense. They're not consistent on offense. I think we've got to wait another month to see. I'm not sure who the second best team is.
And even the Patriots, even though they're undefeated, they don't feel undefeated because we're not. I mean, like the offense, that offensive line, they don't have weapons there. The defense is really good, but I don't even.
Well, we think the defense is good.
Yeah, they haven't played anybody.
Look at the quarterbacks they played, and let's look at the teams they played. And maybe the defense is good. They look dominant right now. But I think the jury's still out on that. And offensively, they're not the same. They're not in sync and precise like you're used to seeing that offense in New England, and that may come. But I think the whole league is like that, really. I go back to lack of preseason, a lot of things. I'm not sure who's good right now.
Who's your MVP?
Right now, I'd have to say Russell Wilson. I look at them, and they still have the same problems with pass protection. Their defense is up and down. Everything that happens, he's scrambling around, making plays, improvising, hasn't thrown an interception yet. He just seems to make the play for them to win. They're 5-1, and they've got a lot of holes, too. I'm not sure they're a great team. So right now, I'd lean towards Russell.
But don't you think it's interesting how we have a bias against quarterbacks not taken in the first round, that it takes longer to anoint them? Because you got Dak Prescott and you got Russell Wilson, and it feels like there's this up. I think Russell Wilson has been as valuable to his team as any player in the last couple of years in the NFL, and that includes Brady and Patrick Mahomes, all of those guys. I think there's heightism where, he doesn't fit into, if Russell Wilson was 6'4", then maybe he went in the first round. I don't know, but Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, we wait a while to anoint them, and certainly with Russ, and it's taken all these, what is he, 8 years in, and we're still going, yeah, he's pretty good. I'm like, he's been great.
He has been great. He's done some unbelievable things, and you're right. We're preparing for the Cowboys-Eagles game, and people are asking, well, who would you rather have, and who's more valuable to their team, Wentz or Prescott? And Prescott's been out there every down. He has played, and they haven't been great, and they've had some flaws, and he's winning games, and he's doing a lot. And no one wants to put him in the same breath as Carson Wentz because you're right. He's a fourth-round pick, and Carson was the top of the draft. But Dak Prescott has done some great things and led this team very well. So I kind of agree with you, Dan.
How does Jason Garrett, how do you block out what the media says about you? Because we've been waiting for Jason Garrett to get fired for a couple of years. He's been on the hot seat for, a few years. Like, how do you block all of that out and just coach?
You can if you have that relationship with your owner. And, I think Jason has that. I know the guys in Pittsburgh had that. I was in Pittsburgh a long time. The fans would get upset, and they still are upset at Mike Tomlin. But Mike can go in and sit in our Rooney's office and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. And Mr. Rooney says, yes, yes, yes. And here's where we're going to go. And then you don't worry about it. But if you don't have that type of relationship, then it becomes hard to block out all the noise because it's constant. You hear it and you're not sure.
Could you ever see Mike Tomlin? Well, you could see him leaving, I'm sure, Pittsburgh, but joining Washington?
No. First of all, you don't do that. You don't leave a stable situation where you've got that ownership behind you and history and tradition and go to a place with a track record that says I'm only going to be there 2 years. It wouldn't make sense, and I absolutely would not see Mike Tomlin doing that.
Were you ever broached with the possibility of coaching the Steelers at any point in your career?
No.
So even after Cowher left?
No, Mike was the next guy. So Dan Rooney called me. We were actually preparing for the Super Bowl, and Dan called me and said, hey, I talked to this guy. You had him a little bit. I want to hear a little bit about him. He really impressed us. And Mike was Dan's guy, and that was, 13 years ago, 14 years ago? And that's the way they do things. There aren't many changes. There aren't many opportunities to coach the Steelers.
But if they did call you?
If they called me when I was young enough to do it, I definitely would have wanted to go there, yeah.
So prior to Cowher?
No, I never talked to Dan in those terms at all. I was young, probably very young, and I was in Kansas City when Bill got the job, and that's when I ended up going to Minnesota with Denny Green. But then Bill kept the job for 15 years. So that's how it works there.
It's still amazing. They've had 3 coaches. When you
in 45 years.
Hey, Tone, good to talk to you again.
So why would you leave that and go to Washington?
Oh, no, but if Pittsburgh doesn't want him any longer, that's what I'm curious about in that front office.
That's going to be a long time before Pittsburgh doesn't want him. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, tell the boys on Football Night in America I said hello, Tony, and, of course, the family. Hope it's well.
I will. Talk to you soon.
All right. That's Tony Dungy, Hall of Famer.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.